Hello, Heckling Fandom. I am again calling an emergency press conference. Not a press conference, but a Stop the Effing Hate episode from yours truly. This is a reaction to Matthew Berry's famous love-hate video, and there's a couple players on there I think that just don't belong in there. So let's get into some garbage time. JJ here. So we are going to break down Matthew Berry's love-hate list, just a couple players. We're going to talk about Breece Hall and Dallas Goedert, who both made his hate list, and I'm going to give you the case why that is a big mistake and why I think in Matthew Berry's new gig, he might have actually taken some of Walter White's product.
You got me.
Go ahead and play the clip here. I'll lead off with Breece Hall, and I'll inject myself as I see fit and combat some of the things he says. So let's go ahead and get started.
Yards or pretty close. Michael Carter had 183 total touches last year. Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson combined for 190.
So that happened because Michael Carter was the best player on the team last year, and the other two are journeyman scrubs. No offense to the guys, but not starting caliber running backs. So what I heard there is Michael Carter had 183 carries, and two journeymen are vacating 200 touches. So I said carries before I meant touches. Anyways, let's continue.
Yep. I mean, like, again, it is a committee, and that's Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson, Michael Carter.
Yep.
So you've got Breece Hall, who will be in a committee on a bad team behind a poor offensive line that just lost Mekhi Becton for the year.
I've heard this in a couple places, a couple sites, that the Jets have a bad offensive line. I don't think they have a bad offensive line. If anything, at worst, it's the middle of the road. They've dedicated high draft capital to it. Yes, they lost Mekhi Becton, but they immediately brought in Pro Bowler Dwayne Brown to fill that role, and they paid him to do it pretty well. So I'm not as concerned about the Jets' offensive line as some people are for some reason.
Yep.
And he's going 19th?
He's going 20 picks in front of A.J. Dillon at the moment. I might just prefer to have A.J. Dillon straight up. I agree
with Matthew Berry, what he's about to get into about A.J. Dillon. Like, I love A.J. Dillon this year. I think a lot of people do, and he's still being drafted too low. I don't think there should be a 20-pick gap between these two guys, but I have Breece Hall ranked higher than A.J. Dillon this year. So
I'm begging my producers to let me curse at the audience. What are we blanking doing?
Yeah. The one thing with Breece Hall is that the way he projects is that some of the commentary is like, this guy's the next Jonathan Taylor. But he's not going to be Jonathan Taylor in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. He is a guy that I could definitely see if he gets the starting job at some point, then his metrics are just off the charts. And
right.
if Zach Wilson improves as well when he comes back and the offense looks better, but this is a lot of ifs for a guy that's not even starting right now.
Even starting, come on, man. Come on, Australian field. It's the preseason, man. This is what happens with the rookies. The rookies play. The established veterans don't typically, and everyone's making a story out of it. They're doing the same thing with Devin Singletary and James Cook. These kids are talented. They're going to play, and Breece Hall is going to take over that starting role by the first quarter of the season.
Yeah, the pro Breece Hall argument is he's really good.
Yeah.
Like, we believe in the skill set
Yep.
and the draft capital. The Jets use it, but again, like, you think about the coaching philosophy, they want multiple running backs. They are Kyle Shanahan disciples.
Kyle Shanahan? The guy who took 6th-round pick Elijah Mitchell last year, and in the 11 games that he played, feed him 20 carries a game? That guy?
This is a coaching staff that came from San Francisco, and they've used it. That's what they did last year. They used multiple running backs here.
Running backs because they didn't have anyone close to as talented as Breece Hall. Moving on.
By the way, Michael Carter's good.
Yeah.
Like, Michael Carter didn't do anything wrong last year.
He absolutely is good. He's a great pass catcher. He's shifty, and he will have a role in this offense. But again, he's not Breece Hall.
To lose his job. No. Like, they want Michael Carter, and so if they're going to use Michael Carter on third down in some passing game work, that also hurts Breece Hall's ability. Again, this is a team that had the least amount of rushing attempts last year. And
again, you've already mentioned how much Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson were used. I would argue that this was one of the least talented backfields in the NFL last year. So again, they didn't have Breece Hall last year. They're going to run more times than they did last year. I promise you that.
I don't see anything from that defense that makes me think like, oh, this is suddenly a team that's going to be leading in a lot of games this year.
No, they're a 6-win team.
Yeah, they're a 6-win team. There you go.
Bit for me on this, they did invest heavily in that defense. They're getting Lawson back. They got Sauce Gardner and Jermaine Johnson in the first round this year. I think the Jets' defense will be a little better than they were last year. No reason for them not to be, especially with Saleh as the head coach. I agree they are a 6 to 8 win team, but you can be a 6 to 8 win team and have quality running backs and be in close games. So I think those AFC East games should be pretty competitive this year. I don't think, no offense, Ryan, but the Patriots are as good as people think they're going to be. So, sorry, guys, I'm in on Breece Hall. I like him. I think he has a ton of upside. I think he's one of the most talented backs to come out in the past few years. And once the wheels get churning on him, I think he's going to have a huge second half of the year and be a potential league winner. So I'm fine taking Breece Hall in the 4th or 5th round, and then taking A.J. Dillon around after that. So give me Breece Hall this year. I disagree with Matthew Berry's take here.
For the catch, either.
Correct.
Now another guy, Dallas Goedert. You know, like Dallas Goedert, because he was last season he was second in the entire NFL among tight ends for yards per route run. The only guy in front of him was George Kittle. The guy right behind him was Mark Andrews. No Zach Ertz anymore. And I get that he's the third receiving option on a team that might be a little run heavy, but why don't you like Dallas Goedert?
Tied for 16th in targets per game, 37th in red zone targets, tied for 39th in end zone targets, and all of that was without A.J. Brown there. We still expect this to be a slower run-first off.
So Matthew Berry, every year he has a basically a my guy, like someone he's all in on. His ride or die, he calls it. So this year his ride or die is Jalen Hurts, I believe. So if that's your ride or die, don't you think that the passing yards and touchdowns are going to take an uptick this year if he's going to take that next step? I think he is. I have Jalen Hurts ranked very high. I don't care about last year's stats. If anything, I think A.J. Brown is going to pull the coverage off Dallas Goedert in the middle of the field and allow him to rip up the seam to continue to have a high average in ADOT. So a high ADOT, sorry. So I don't care about last year's stats, and I don't think they're going to be as run heavy as they were in the second half of last year. We saw flashes of Goedert and Hurts connecting in the first preseason game. I liked what I saw, so let's keep going.
Offense, I just don't know where he's going. He's going as tight end 7. He's going ahead of T.J. Hawkinson.
Blasphemy, T.J. Hawkinson. I do not get the love for T.J. Hawkinson. T.J. Hawkinson is like my tight end 10 to 12, somewhere in there. I haven't figured out his final landing spot. Dallas Goedert is my tight end 5. You're worried about A.J. Brown taking targets away from Dallas Goedert. Look at what T.J. Hawkinson has to deal with in Detroit. St. Brown, Chark, Jameson Williams when he comes back. The target Swift's going to command. And we've already seen the sample of it with Jared Goff and T.J. Hawkinson. They're not having a Cooper Kupp, Stafford little brunch together. I mean, he looks to him sometimes, but his numbers last year were not that great. And they have not been that great in his career. I do not understand the continuous love for T.J. Hawkinson. Yes, he was a top 10 pick, but he has not materialized into a consistent top 5 fantasy tight end like people thought he would. So I'm out on T.J. Hawkinson. Give me Dallas Goedert, whose ADP is, I don't know what site, I mean, I know he used to be on ESPN, but on ESPN, the ESPN site, Hawkinson is rated higher than Goedert, which I firmly disagree with.
Never had more than 5 touchdowns in a season.
I just think that.
Thank you.
I'm just concerned. I think he's a better real life player than fantasy player. He's fine as a tight end 1, as a lower end tight end 1. I can't. Give me T.J. Hawkinson and Zach Ertz over him.
You're crazy, brother. That is just blasphemy right there. Blasphemy.
Goedert is being drafted ahead of both those guys. I'd rather have Hawkinson and Ertz at later ADP than where Goedert is currently.
That is it, guys. If you like what you see here, like and subscribe. Obviously, we're over on Apple Podcasts, Google, Simplecast, Spotify, Iheartradio, Pandora. You can pretty much find us pretty much anywhere. So all you got is look. So I appreciate the time. I like to keep these like 10 minutes. I think I'm going to keep doing them, and try and save the fantasy listeners from making poor draft decisions. So I am here for you all. I'll happily take any questions you have on garbage_timeff on Twitter. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you again soon.